Step, once again, I'm Mr. Step. I swear I should do things a specific way every time, but I was too busy looking down, and I wasn't looking there, and didn't realize our beautiful faces weren't even online yet. So now the millions of people can see our beautiful faces, and speaking of beautiful faces, Ken, he's
Thank
so
you.
he's such a beautiful guy, and it is for the beautiful Missouri week. So take it away, sir.
Hey, thank you very much, all you billions of people out there. Hey, tonight's guest is from, I think Adrian already said it, from Missouri. Her lifelong curiosity about the unknown has led her to be a respectful paranormal researcher,
Ooh.
investigator, educator, blogger, and now an author. She holds a master's degree in social work and currently works as a program coordinator for the SLU, St. Louis University, neuroscience program. So let's, all you billions of people out there, let's welcome Jen Elwyn to A.M.O.K.
Ooh, welcome, welcome.
Cheers, 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 cheers. Hi, Jen, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. I know we go back quite a ways. I don't know how long. I'd say at least 10 years, maybe 50. Who knows? But yeah. But
Did you say 50 or 15?
Probably about the amount of time I've been in St. Louis, probably about 12 years.
Okay, so that part I did not know. So we learned something new tonight. But I guess let's kind of go back a little bit and try to talk about how did you get started in paranormal research or research of any kind?
So I grew up as a very curious kid. I always was interested in spooky stories and all of that stuff. I'm probably one of many from the generation that grew up watching the ghost hunters and being absolutely thrilled by them. And so I had always had in the back of my mind that I might want to do this. And I'm going to preface this story that there are things in this story that I don't recommend people doing for safety reasons. So in 2010, I was going through an incredibly hard divorce. And, when you go through stuff like that, you start to think to yourself, okay, who am I anymore? What do I enjoy? What do I want to do with my life? Who are my friends? And all of these tough questions about life and moving on. And one of the things that I reflected on was how much I loved the paranormal. So in my distraught, crazy brain, I thought the best way to make friends is to join a paranormal group. And I remember reaching out to East Tennessee Paranormal, and they set up an interview for me at this restaurant downtown. And it happened to be the same day as the zombie walk. And essentially there were people dressed up downtown as zombies, and they did the thriller dance and the whole 9 yards. And I met with these two guys to interview for a position on the team. And essentially they ask you all the important questions like, are you on any psychiatric medication? Have you ever hurt anybody? Things like that. And somehow they determined that I was perfectly sane. They would later learn not so true.
Perfect. Yeah, we're all that way. Okay.
Yeah. So they say, you know what? We're getting ready to take a trip to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Cool place.
And would you like to go with us? And I was like, sure, I would love to go. They said, we'll set you up with somebody. They'll pick you up at your home. So the day comes to go to Old South Pittsburgh, which is about 2 hours away from where I was living. And these ladies show up in a van to pick me up. I've never met these women before in my life. I grab my bag, I hop in the van, and not once did it occur to me that I was doing something absolutely ridiculous to hop in a vehicle with strangers to take a trip far away from where I live, where nobody was going to know where I was. I mean, technically they knew where I was, but was anybody going to come get me? Probably not.
So volunteer kidnapping.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's like those memes where you see three ghost hunting equipment written on the side of the van and you get in and you're like, sure. Uh, so I did. I got in the van and we went. I got locked into the hospital with a very large group of people. Not a single person I'd met other than the two people who had interviewed me. And they had their potluck set up of chili, of all things, and other various.
Nice. And it closed in. Okay.
Yeah. And I quickly learned why you don't serve chili at a ghost hunt.
Mhm. For many reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
For a few, for sure.
So personally, I didn't experience anything paranormal while I was there. But what I did experience was we were sitting in an exam room at one point, and everybody was looking at the doorway, and they kept saying, "Do you see that? Do you see that shadow? It keeps popping in and out of the doorway." I'm like, "No." And they keep seeing it, and I keep trying. I'm going to see this, and doesn't happen. And eventually somebody says, "That's okay. The longer you do this, the more likely you are to see something," which in turn made me think, okay, so do you see something because one, you do it more and your odds are getting better, or two, your brain convinces you that now you need to see something. So from there on out, I was like, I'm kind of curious. What is the answer to this? And I was addicted from there on. But, I moved from Tennessee not that long after and came to St. Louis and found a team here. But I will never forget that experience of just throwing caution to the wind and hopping in a vehicle and being like, okay, this is what we're doing right now. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend anybody else getting in a van with strangers, but it probably was the best thing I could have done for myself.
Luckily, it worked
learn
out.
about me. Yes, and I didn't get killed.
Yay!
And you didn't become a
Not
ghost
killed.
at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital,
There you go.
right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a great location. It
It
still
is-
is,
it
a
is.
great
Nice.
location.
Yeah, I know for a while it was kind of, they took it off the market because of a lot of cleanup they had to do. And
So the first time I was there was a car parked inside the building.
yeah, in between that hallway, Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
there's a small one, like a sports car or something.
Yeah, it was a small sports car.
Yeah.
And we had all signed our names on the big signing wall there, right
Oh, yeah.
there in the hallway too.
Yeah, it was a crazy place, but they always told me that beyond that car on the outer wall area by the front door,
Mhm.
they said, don't go down there by yourself. There's some crazy lunatic spirits that are down there, and they will eat you alive or whatever they said, to scare the bejeebers out of you. I'm like, what?
So
People
that's
were-
exactly where you want to go then.
That's where
Yeah.
I went.
Yeah.
I was on the other side, and I came back over there. I'm like, there's nobody around. I'm like, what the hell with you guys? I walked all the way down, and I'm sitting in one of the rooms. Then I hear him down the hall. Where's Ken? Where's Ken? I don't know. He's probably lost somewhere. And I'm like, I'm down here. And they're like, oh my God, it's his spirit voice.
It's so easy
a
to get
mimic.
lost in that place.
It really
because
is.
Even if you go now, it doesn't look that big from the outside.
No,
But once
it
you're
doesn't.
in it, there are hallways everywhere. And it's like, okay, where am I now?
and part of a basement.
Yes. And finding the basement is a challenge. You have to
Oh.
remember the path you took to get there because,
Yeah, I think after they found me that one time, I don't think they found me again until they were about ready to leave. And we all had down by the car. We had a session down there, and I'm like, everybody's going, oh my God, I'm afraid of all these shadow figures and all there. There's crawlers on the wall, and I'm sitting on the top of this table, my feet dangling, and I'm just looking around. I'm having a ball. It's great. And I look over behind the two people that are scared beyond belief, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, should I tell them that there's 3 shadow figures right next to him and behind him in the doorway? Hell yeah. So I did. All of a sudden, poof, they both went running down the hall. I'm like, whatever, dudes.
Whatever.
I said, why are you here?
Because people
Because
like
they're
that. They
trying
want to
to
get
scare
scared. So they want to get scared and run. That's why they do it. So.
I guess they just wanted to exercise, haunted exercise.
Yeah, I feel like some people, that's the whole point, is to
Well,
get
yeah.
scared.
It is. And that way they have a story. They say, I was so scared, man, and I ran. No. Me, I'm like,
And I ran.
And I left a trail behind me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You might sink for a few days, but that's okay.
There are
We'll come
definitely
clean it.
different types of people who do these things.
Yeah.
And that's definitely your adventure scarefest type of person who's just there for one reason and one reason only. And they'll probably never do it again because they got the piece scared out of them.
yeah, they got that. They got that experience, and they could check that box and move on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And then there's the rest of us who do it once and we're like, oh, I'm going to have to do this all the time. And it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets in your blood really quick.
It does.
And now
It's like a tattoo. You can't just do one.
Right.
Okay. Glad I don't have any yet. So, so you were saying it piqued your curiosity, and your question is like, okay, which way was it? Did you? And I know you also have a master's degree in, is it social work or something?
It's social work, yes.
Okay.
Nice.
So did you have that before then, or did you get that afterwards? Was
I
that
got
part
that
of
after.
was it
I
kind
got
of
that
part of
after.
your philosophy, or were you trying to? That kind of
It was
that?
part of my exploration of who I am. And it actually informs part of who I am as an investigator these days now. I don't actually work in the social work field. My job is a program coordinator. I deal with students all the time. So I use it in that way. But I use it as an investigator because it helps me empathize so much more than your average person in a haunted location. And it makes me recognize when we're doing things that may not be helpful in the situations we're walking into. I feel like a lot of people view phenomena or the dead as a thing and not as potentially a person, as, this could be me one day. If we're really dealing with dead people, this could be me one day. I could be stuck somewhere with somebody saying terrible things to me all the time.
Yeah.
And would I want that? What would I want my afterlife to look like? So I feel like my education has informed the way I interact with not just my teammates, but the potential phenomena that I experience in locations.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but to your point, treating whatever apparition you're dealing with, or whatever you're dealing with, as a person instead of just some kind of phenomena, and that's what our team does. And yeah, we don't allow any kind of provoking, other than trying to incite somebody to talk. We don't ever try to be mean or be like some of the shows try to get chest out and try to act all tough, because you don't know what you're talking about or talking to.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah,
exactly. And you really don't know how your words are going to affect whatever you may or may not be talking to. So you really want to be cautious about how you interact with not just the dead, but the living people around you, because another thing that we talk about is energy, and how does the way I communicate with my teammates or the owners of the property or talk about the property itself impact the energy of the location? How does that change my environment? And we learn a lot about that in therapy, because you can tell when you're working with somebody how an environment will change. If you're having a conversation that is not going the way that the other person wants, and they're getting ready to, potentially do something you don't really want them to do in that moment. So it's learning to read the environment, read the energy of everybody around you. How do I interact in that environment? You wouldn't think that a social work degree would do that for you, but it is really helpful.
Do you have empathic abilities that you can sense anyway in your work and in the environment?
If you mean I get a headache, if there's
or feelings,
pressure and high EMF, yes. I wouldn't say that I am empathetic beyond just being a good therapist. You know, and I was trained to be a good therapist. I wouldn't say that I sense dead people or anything along those
So you don't
lines.
say you have you don't have any abilities then.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't mean
you just have
sensing.
a skill set. I like that.
Yes.
I don't mean sensing dead people, but sensing. I mean, we all have
You see dead
empathic
people.
empathic abilities, but can you sense other people's senses, what they're feeling, and or is it more for you? It's more sight.
It's more of I can read people very well,
Okay.
and I can read a room. And being able to read the energy in a room. And there are times when you walk into a space and you feel like you don't belong there.
Yeah.
And I often relate.
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Like, even with humans, you know, when you walk into a room and somebody doesn't want you there, it feels really bad.
Yep.
And there are times when you'll walk into locations that are reported to be haunted, and you'll walk into a space and you're like, I know that feeling. I need to go somewhere else until that dissipates, because that is not going to go well for me right now.
That's why I'm stubborn. I stay there anyways because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. I'm not a real big fan of like getting injured physically or mentally. That's not on my list of experiences I want. I'm actually a big fan of setting up equipment and being like, you know, if a creepy crawly thing wants to shoot across the ceiling when I'm not here and be on my camera and I could watch it at home, great. But not while I'm sitting here.
Please don't do it while I'm here.
Gotcha. So before you go to sites, you know, I know you've been to a lot of different places, and I know you're planning a big trip next year, but do you like to research the people and the sites before you go or after you experience?
So for our team, I am the primary researcher. That means that I'm the one who usually knows about everything you can know about a location, all the names, all the dates, stuff like that. I have reams of paper I take with me everywhere. I make notes about everything. So yes, I know everything. I have members of my team who are not allowed to know anything other than this is where you're going. And that has a lot to do with, I want to make sure that if they say something, I'm aware if it correlates with anything.
Gotcha.
So I'm a big proponent of having people who know nothing and having people who know everything.
I love it. A lot of people don't know anything.
That takes a lot of trust. That does take a lot of trust because I'm the primary researcher of my team. So that if I go anywhere, we just came back from an awesome place, but it was just me that went. So I didn't research before I went. I'm researching afterwards. Because I don't want my mind to kind of come up with something that possibly wouldn't have come up with it anyway, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, I can understand that because I've investigated with quite a few people, and some people will research a place and then they'll have a lot of experiences that correlate with their research.
Yes.
I go in there. You can't get me to think a certain way. So you can tell me all the stories. First off, I don't believe you, and I go in and what I experience is what I'm experiencing. I don't any of that stuff. So I get it both. Yeah, I can see it both ways. I would prefer to know.
I like to know snippets,
I
like
want to
know
where things are supposed to be, but not necessarily what that thing is supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, and I like people to have kind of a mix because you got to have people who know nothing, people who just know what they've like seen on TV or whatever they've read, and then you've got people who actually have researched and know what's what there. And there are times where I'll do the research before and compare it to the claims and be like, and Rhodes Hotel is one of those. I walked up to the owner and I said, you know, this story is a lie. And he goes, I know it is.
It's a lie.
Can you back it up? I said, yes, I have the death certificate of the person they say hung himself in your attic. And he's like, that's awesome.
Good for you. Yeah. I'm glad that you steered him the right way and now her the right way.
Yes.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's a good place. I've been there once, and Never spent the night there, but on my way back home, I stopped there, Rhodes Hotel, and hung out with the owner for about 2 hours. And he said, "Just wander around." He said, "Place is yours while I'm here." I said, "I'm gonna go back down to my room and eat lunch or whatever." So just take your time.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great location. We had one of our funniest Estes sessions there where my friend Rachel was hooked up to the spirit box, and the place was supposedly a brothel. And I can tell you, based on the things coming out of her mouth and the color of her cheeks, it definitely was a brothel. Yeah, I won't repeat
awesome.
anything she said because she
Don't-
would be totally embarrassed, but it was the funniest thing. And at one point she did take off her headphones and she says, "I can't say what I'm hearing." And we're like, "You have to say what you're hearing."
Oh, we gotta go to this place. I'll definitely say it. I just need
It's a
great
fun
location.
place. Yeah.
We
That's
also
awesome.
played poker in the front room and had so Rachel also wore the Estes headphones when we were playing poker, and somebody was calling their cards while we were playing.
Oh,
Well, that's what I
wow.
want. That way I could win a game. Maybe tell them that card.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
Well,
me
you
to
gotta
fold.
remember, they
Yeah.
can cheat because they can see your cards.
That's
I
true.
don't care as long as they're only telling me.
Yeah. We played cards with a spirit in Indiana. And it was so funny because that he was the spirit box basically, and I was kind of playing his cards to kind of show him a stupid way we were playing 21, and finally he got the hang of it after about the fourth or fifth hand. He started telling us pass, hit. That's like, this is great. And then about the 15th game or whatever, he finally won, and we all decided, oh, we're done. So
Well, it was so funny. So my friend Dane was the one playing the cards for the spirit box.
Mhm.
And at one point the box says fold. And Dane looks at the cards and he goes, "We're not folding." And then the box cusses at him. And Dane's like, "I don't care. We're not folding."
That's funny.
And then come to find out that hand lost. They told him
Oh, he should have
he wanted to
folded.
fold.
Oh, I gotta tell him
That
that
is
next time I see him.
funny.
I say, I hear
Wow.
Spirit did better than you at cards. There you go.
Oh, better than that. Randolph County Infirmary. We set
Okay.
up games and an ice cream social in one of the group rooms. And one of the games we played was bingo. Dane lost bingo to a REM pod.
That's awesome.
Dane, I hope you're listening tonight.
Oh,
No,
nice.
you're on vacation. That's okay. Yeah, we won't tell you about this one. Oh yeah, Dane and Jen,
That's
they're
funny.
awesome people. They really are. So, well, yeah, we were talking about personal site research about sites. Me, no, I know a little bit, but I'm just a wanderer. I mean, like I said, Ohio, or not Ohio State, well, that too, but Old South Pittsburgh. I'm wandering around all over the place by myself, and I figured as long as they know I came with them and I didn't tell them I've left, I'm in the building somewhere. That's how I kind of treat things. But yeah, there's some great stories. Let's see. So what do you, when you do investigate, what are your kind of preferred methodologies? Is it just audio? Is it, visual?
So
What?
I'm a big fan of stationary cameras. And the reason for that is I am a very visual person. Audio is great. If your camera has audio, guess what? You get both visual and audio. If I just have audio, it's really hard to tell what is what when reviewing. So, say I'm in the middle of reviewing my McIntyre Villa videos. This is the 4th year we've gone to McIntyre Villa. I put my cameras in the exact same place every year. And so I end up with about 48 hours of video from 2 different specific locations in the building. Those locations allow me to know what's going on in the entire building, and I occasionally pick up some really strange and interesting things. But I like that because it really allows me to track our movement, to understand what the different sounds are. I have a really good feel for how that building sounds now after so many years of doing it. One year I placed an Eddy in front of that camera and ran it the duration and discovered that in the middle of the night, there are EMF spikes that happen every 6 minutes.
Really?
I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't recorded my data and watched my video and done all the work. So I am
That's the
very
key
much
thing. That's the key
data
thing, is that
collection
to watch
person.
the video after you take it. Like, so many people do it, then they don't.
Uh,
And I know we used to have watch parties, you know, and we'd have the old school DVR, and say, okay, you're camera one, you're camera two, you camera
right?
and just watch
Yeah.
hours of that door and never moved.
Yeah.
But you know, if you collect the evidence, you need to review the evidence.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yes.
you never know what you caught. You could have got the
so
coolest thing ever, and you won't know until you dig in there.
And like I
the
bring
great
up,
thing,
and
yeah,
like
and the
I
great thing
bring
about
up,
those
go ahead.
those that you leave sitting, if you capture something when nobody's in the building, that's even more awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely.
But can also catch things like I was going to say, one of my investigators, we was walking through a room and noticed that there was a glove in the middle of the floor. It wasn't there before. It was like, how did that get there? And we did all kinds of troubleshooting, could not figure it out. And then on evidence review, noticed that that glove was on the couch. And when my investigator sat down on the couch, he got up, had a little Velcro on the glove, so it was stuck to his butt, and it fell off his butt in another room. But it was funny because on the video, the glove was slapping his butt as it walked in. It's really hilarious.
Awesome.
But I mean, not only does it collect evidence, it stops you from
Well, yeah,
presuming
and it
something
also,
that's not real.
Blooper
yeah, and
reel.
it's helped me notice anomalies with our equipment too. So once again, I'm working on this McIntyre footage, and one of my team members has one of these little pods that just lights up. It doesn't sound like a REM pod, it just lights. And I noticed when we were in the attic, it would light up when we were in the attic over it. And I'm like, we need to test the range on your pod. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm about 8 hours into this video and we need to check the range on your pod. So it's, you know, you never know what you're going to see, and you learn so much. The more you do this, the more you can learn by, okay, so the equipment did this in this situation and it did that in this situation. And I just think it's essential that you do these things, as boring as it can be sometimes. And
Yeah.
everybody thinks paranormal investigation is like, oh my God, it's so exciting and scary. I don't know.
They
how
only
you-"
No.
see the best parts.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
Yeah, let me tell you about 48 hours of watching video.
Oh, I know.
It can be the
Evidence
coolest
review
place
is
in
a
the
quick way.
world, but ooh,
Evidence review is a quick way to lose members. You sit there and go, okay,
Right?
oh,
Oh,
let's try
I've
this,
lost
let's do this.
so many.
And then they're like, oh, I can't do that. So you don't want to investigate. You just want to
I
go
was
walk
like,
around and figure
Yeah, you just wanna
no,
get
we're
that
not.
stuff.
We're not doing this. You're not coming just to
it out.
go to these places and not pitch in.
Yeah, you're not going just to play.
Right?
If I pull out the DVR and you look at me like I'm putting you to work and you hate my guts, then guess what? We're not going to get along real well
Yeah.
because I expect you to work.
If
Yeah.
I'm gonna bust my butt, you guys can bust your butts too. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what were your favorite spots in the McIntyre? We were just
McIntyre-
there. We were just there
A couple
Saturday
of days
night.
ago, yeah.
So when I place my cameras, I place one in the second floor hallway.
Okay.
It's right in front of, so the little room that has the black mirrors in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
On the
chair
end,
there. So I
by the
usually
stairwell.
place one camera looking down the hall, just in case one of those dolls decides to get an itch in it and run down the hallway. So then I can change my
Perfect.
pants after I watch that video.
Right.
Perfect. Especially if it's carrying a knife.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes. And then the other one I set up is midway up towards the attic on the stairs. That way I could see the attic door and down
Okay.
into the other part of that hallway.
Cool.
Between those two cameras, I can hear pretty much everything happening in the building,
Oh, true.
which is fantastic. Because really in that house, it doesn't actually matter where you are. Something
No.
can happen anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Really active. Yeah.
We all had stuff happen to us.
Oh yeah, it
Where
was
you,
amazing. That house is just absolutely phenomenal.
yeah, the second floor, you go up the stairwell to the right, and I got just past the, what was it, the library, I'll call it, the first room. And I get down by this large painting heading down to the doll room, and I feel something under my hat go like this. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Ah,
There's nobody there. So I just continued on. But yeah, just all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, you'll hear lots of different crazy noises. Me and a team member, were getting ready to go back downstairs, and we were walking past the stairs that go into the attic, and we could hear things moving around in the attic.
Yeah.
Our other team members were on the first floor and in the basement.
Yep.
Nobody was in the attic, but we could clearly hear somebody moving around in the attic. And my co-team mate was saying, "Oh, I need to go up there." And I told her, I said, "I don't think we need to go up there right now," because I was getting a really bad vibe off of it. And I said, "I think we need to go downstairs for a couple minutes." And but you just never know. I had another team member who slept in the kids' room and felt like somebody had come down from the attic, walked down the stairs, walked into the room, stood over her bed, and just stared at her.
Ew. No.
Yeah.
wow.
No.
Yeah. And she said he stood there for like 5 minutes just staring at me, and then
Wow.
turned around, walked out the door, and went right back up the stairs.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I know I was
Wow.
in the that sitting room in between, just off the kitchen, not the front room and not that back room where the
Mhm.
bathroom is. But I'm sitting there getting my stuff laid out so I can sleep on the couch that's there. And I had the chandelier light on, and I'm just moving things around. All of a sudden, I could see the chandelier light beaming out of the mirror across the room. In my eye, I'm like, what the hell? Something had turned the mirror so that it shone the light right in my left eye. I'm like, really, guys? I can't see right now.
She has things moved around that house quite often. I
Yeah.
think they get really grumpy with her because she's always bringing in more stuff.
Oh,
Anybody who's been to McIntyre knows that there's tons of stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a very well decorated house, but it's also kind of over decorated sometimes.
there's-
And
yeah.
I think they get a little annoyed with that.
But we actually had some people see the cat this time.
Yeah, more than one.
Oh
More than-
yeah.
We had a gentleman that came with us that he had never ghost hunted before. He's a UFO alien guy, and he's always wanted to. So we brought him with us, and he was blown away by the amount of activity. And we're like, okay, this is like for you, the Holy Grail. Don't expect every,
Yeah.
Every location to be like this.
like this because it's not going to be.
Yeah, you kind of don't want to give a newbie a really great location their first time out, because then they're going to be spoiled for everything else.
Oh,
They're
for
gonna
sure.
expect that something happens all the time, and it's like, no, it doesn't.
That's what we were
Um,
like. This is like,
Yeah.
it doesn't hardly ever happen as much activity wise as it did for us, but yeah, it was
Well,
good. It was good.
We're already talking about going back soon.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
But,
I'm wanting to go because I never went to the basement and I never went to the attic. I just was on the first and second floor.
Oh my
So
gosh!
it was
Yeah.
too.
I was
And I
having so
never
much
went.
stuff going on just the first and second floor that
Adrian, you and Tina need to. That's a bucket list place.
yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
It was really too hot, Jen, for the
The
attic.
attic does
Yeah.
get really
Because
hot.
it was almost 100 degrees up there, and somebody went up there and like, I don't think I wouldn't be able to breathe, so I stayed out of the attic.
There's
Yeah.
probably more than 100 degrees up there, I would imagine. 'Cause it was
Probably.
Well, when we were there in May, Dane was
Okay.
complaining that it was too hot in May. So
Yeah.
just know you need to go earlier in the year or later in the year.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Because it gets hot up there, but you definitely want to go in the attic and the basement. Those are two
Yeah, those
very
are
prime
pretty cool
spots.
places.
Like I said, you can get stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
but like the second floor library, the kids' room, the attic.
We actually got a couple of things in the library that she was playing back to us while we were there, coming from the bathroom, and it was like, oh my gosh.
Her
Wow.
recorder records some crazy stuff, and I'm like, I'm not picking that up on anything else. What is
Yeah.
it about your recorder that's making this happen?
Mhm.
It was a special recorder that they
Old.
Oh, yeah,
making.
Panasonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Panasonic voice. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, they stopped making it because it was supposed to be for dictation, and they were picking up weird noises in the dictation. They're like, "Oh, this is defective," so they stopped making them.
Yeah.
That's not defective.
No,
Now they're like
for us, it's
big
it's
bucks.
holy grail, you know.
For
But
sure.
let's talk. Let's kind of switch gears here just a little bit. Same genre and everything, but I know, and I just found out when I saw you about a month and a half ago, whatever, that you wrote a book,
Yeah.
and it's going to be published in about 7 weeks or so.
Yeah.
On
September 30th.
yeah. So you
Ooh,
want
that's
to
exciting.
talk about that a
Wow.
little bit? And,
Yeah. It's Historic Haunts of St. Louis. And it approaches 11 different locations in St. Louis. Most of them are still standing. There are a couple that aren't. And it's crazy. I never thought of myself as being interested in history. In high school, you would have not caught me purposely taking a history class if I didn't have to. But I wrote a history book, and I wrote it in the vein of what I would want as an investigator. So looking for the who, what, when, where, why, how. So it goes into some pretty intense detail on some of these people, these places, when they were there, why they were there, when they died, how they died. Because I wanted it to not just be a fluffy story. I wanted it to be useful for people who really wanted to know the truth of a location. So it does include places like Limp Mansion and the exorcism story from St. Louis University, because of course I work there.
1949, yeah.
Yeah. But I also talk about places like the Campbell House, which people don't always talk about as being haunted, Demon Hill Mansion. Let's see, what was it? Bissell Mansion, which is still up for sale and dropping in price every day.
Horrible neighborhood.
The neighborhood's really bad.
Looks like World War III came through there in the neighborhood.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
I looked at it. So
Yeah, and most of the interior, like the copper and stuff like that, has all been pulled from the
but the
building.
center is still good.
Really?
All the sides, the kitchen's destroyed.
Yeah, they've had squatters in there too, which is really unfortunate.
But
So essentially, the process of this book was learning. I'm not from St. Louis, and I had to learn a lot of St. Louis history. It was founded in 1774, if I remember correctly. This is 76, something like that.
70s, yeah.
There are a lot of dates associated with it because there's when did they land here? When did they actually turn it into a city and all this other stuff? But kind of learning about how the city was formed gave me more insight into why we are the way we are these days. St. Louis City really hasn't changed that much from fur trader law that we had back in the day. St. Louis has never been the most honest place to live.
We can say that about a lot of places.
Yeah, it's a fair word. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the most part, all the stories have to do with people who came to St. Louis and tried to make a new life for themselves, whatever it was they were coming from. They came to St. Louis to build this life. And some of them were very successful in doing that. And some of them not so much. But I think it's important to recognize that St. Louis was built by people who wanted a better life. And that when we're talking about haunted history and ghost stories, we're talking about people who were living their day-to-day life, who wanted to be happy, healthy, have a good life, and tell those stories in a way that doesn't demean them or make them seem like they're scary, because they're really not. Even the scariest dead person isn't really that scary once you get to know them.
Good point.
But that's what we always try to do as a team, and try to educate the people so they wouldn't be afraid of what it is. And a little education goes a long way.
Yeah.
does.
Well, and you feel different about phenomena once you have like a name associated with it. So going back to McIntyre, it changes the way you relate to the phenomena when you start calling it Goldie, this nice little lady who lived in that house and just really loved her house. She's not scary. She's
Right.
just frustrated because this is her damn house and
Mhm.
other people are
There's
in it.
people here.
Yes. Yeah. So it really
A lot.
changes the way you think about stuff. And I really just enjoyed learning about all the little nuances that went into building such what was an amazing city and has been on a slow decline for the last almost, I'd say probably 70 years. We've been on a pretty bad decline. And I talk to people about St. Louis, and they're like, well, it's a really big city. And I'll tell them, it's under 300,000 people. It's not that big of a city. And they're always shocked. They're like, well, I was there and it felt big.
Yeah.
And if you are downtown, it feels big. But there are so few people who live here anymore. And it's really sad to see the changes over time. And one of the saddest parts from my research was that beautiful Gateway Arch grounds. Everybody sees it, it's lovely. There was an entire city there. It's gone.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of old downtown is gone, except
Oh,
for about
wow.
3 blocks in Laclede's Landing, because
That's
the
sad.
casino took out a portion of it too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think it's about three blocks at this point.
yeah. And a few other small odds and end blocks if you go, towards the number streets. That's
Yeah.
There's not much.
Yeah, it's pretty well wiped out.
Yeah.
It's sad
One
how
of the,
fast that can happen too.
yes. Well, one of the stories I tell is the old Rock House, which was built in 1818. And it was right there on the Levee riverfront area. And it was a warehouse to begin with. And back in the day, the riverfront was just full of steamboats and workers and carriages. And it was a busy thoroughfare. And over time, the Rock House kind of morphed and it eventually became a music venue. And it was really well known for its African American performers. And people would come in from the suburbs and listen to the African American performers. But unfortunately, when they decided they were going to build the Gateway Arch grounds, it was on the chopping block. But they told the people, we're going to, the first time, it's going to be the entrance to Gateway Memorial Park. We're not going to do anything to it. It's going to be safe.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's awful.
Then they were like, we're going to have to take it down, but we're going to rebuild it somewhere else. They took it down and numbered the blocks for it and placed them in the basement of the old courthouse.
Mm.
This was in the 1950s. They did this. And then didn't do anything. 2018, when they redid the museum underneath the arch, they built a facade of the old Rock House. And that's what the city citizens got. They didn't ever get the Rock House back. They got the front wall of the building.
Wow.
Oh my God, what a slap in the face.
Yeah, no kidding.
Most people don't even know it happened. You wait long enough, the people who cared die.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's so important to keep researching your history.
Mhm.
Find out all the facts.
Keep the history alive, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and people talk about that part of St. Louis being like hearing horses walking up and down the cobbles or hearing music and people laughing when there's like nothing going on. There are no bars. There are no restaurants. In like when you go where the old Rock House it was, there is nothing but Gateway Arch grounds there.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that part of the north leg, basically? Yeah. Because
Yeah.
the south leg was the Lemp Brewery. The original.
Yep.
Yeah.
All I know is when I go down there, I get lost.
We do too.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at navigating it, but I used to work at a shop on 3rd Street, so that does
Gotcha.
help.
Okay. So, of all the places that, thank you for explaining kind of your book. I think it's going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to getting a copy of that. October, right?
September 30th, but yeah, it'll be October. I'm sure people will have it in their hands.
Great,
I'm
great for
hoping to
Halloween.
do, huh?
Great for Halloween.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hoping to do a couple of events around the city so people can get a copy from me directly instead of having to deal with Amazon, because not always the best way to do things.
Not near as fun.
Exactly.
Well, if anybody else wants a copy of it, let me know and I'll pick them all up.
Awesome.
So, but I won't see you because I'll see you a couple of days before it comes out, though. So that's going to be a bad timing for me. But anyway,
that event, it happens to fall like the week before the Last Call into Life Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's on the 21st of September. But I'll be there. If they send me the books early, I might slide you a copy or two.
Thank you. I'm
We'll
hoping
keep
I
it
get
on the down low.
I'm hoping I get a call from the people involved that I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not, but we'll see. We shall see. So the places you've been, we still got some time yet. The places you've been, what has been your favorite place?
Well, we already talked about it. It was McIntyre.
I kind of figured that. Okay.
Yeah. Some of the coolest stuff I got was actually at Vale Mansion, and we were only there one night.
Where at?
The
Vale Mansion
Vale
in Independence, Missouri.
Oh.
I've heard of that, but I've never been there.
It's
We
an
might have to.
interesting place.
They've closed it to investigations. I think
Oh,
somebody probably broke or stole something.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
And so I had a camera set up in the front room looking up the main stairway, and some of our team members came in late and they were walking around talking about the different things there. And every once in a while I would hear a woman comment on what they would say. And what was it? Oh, so there was a Civil War uniform in that lobby. And one of the girls said, "Look at how tiny they were. They were so small." And then on my video, I hear a voice say, "This is true."
Oh.
And I was like, who the heck was this?
Yeah.
And then later, one of my team members was up on the stairs, and one of the top of the stair, the little, what do they call those?
Baluster?
The little
Banisters.
cap on top, it was loose and started to come off. And my team member goes, "Oh, I didn't know that would happen." And the voice on my recorder says, "It wasn't me."
It wasn't me.
Oh.
I've noticed that.
That's
I've noticed over
funny.
years of investigating that we get more EVPs just in the middle of conversations between us
Yep.
than when we go, do you know what day it is? And blah, blah, blah. What's your favorite color, Ghost? And they never answer those questions, but they always answer, yeah. It's
No,
like-
they want to be part of the group. They want to
Yeah.
interact and have a conversation.
They're like me,
Right.
but I get a lot of. We've got quite a few EVPs that had in reference to the food that we're talking about, and I like that because then I have something in common with the ghost because I'm always thinking of food.
Oh God, are
we
sending
often
pictures
try
of this
that.
big greasy burger.
Yeah.
4 of us went to the
Yeah.
Ozark morgue, and it was so funny because 4 of us were sitting there trying to figure out where do we want to go for dinner. Had the spirit box going in the background, and we're kind of reading off names, and all of a sudden, out of the spirit box, we hear, no, maybe. They was answering us, and it
That's
finally
funny.
got down to 2
Funny.
different ones, and I said, okay, well, thank you for your help. So we've narrowed it down to 2. Which one would you recommend? So we read the first one. No. And the second one said, good choice. or something like that. So we went there. It was great. So we got back and we thanked him for his suggestion.
Ugh,
That's
How
so
cool is
funny.
that?
It's pretty
that
funny.
is cool.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, I like what Patty was saying there. Is that you get at the Vail House saying that got a lot of exasperated noises, and I've
Mhm.
been at places like that. Didn't like you. The entity there didn't like you messing with their stuff, and
Right.
yeah, which is why you always get to get out. Because you're
Yeah.
bugging.
Yeah, like I don't want you in my house.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
is their house normally, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Patty,
feel like
thanks
they're
for-
often just waiting for us to leave. Okay,
Yeah.
if we're really, really quiet,
Yeah.
maybe they'll
Yeah.
just leave.
They'll get bored and leave.
Don't do that to me.
Jen, do you, paranormal is an umbrella, basically. And I know you've been talking mostly about the spirit world. Do you ever do any other type of paranormal research at all? UFOs or cryptids, Bigfoot, stuff like that?
No, first of all, I am an indoor kitty, so I don't do outside if I can avoid it.
I like that.
So cryptids just ain't happening for me. And
So you'll have
Adrian.
ghosts, but you won't do a ghost at like a battlefield. That's outside.
you do that in brief spurts. But
Yeah.
if there's a snake visual anywhere, then I'm out of there. That's
Yeah.
not happening.
Not
for
a
me.
fan.
And mosquitoes think that I'm yummy treats, so I don't.
Me too.
They're little vampires
They,
anyway.
they love me. I'm sure it's because I'm sweet.
Ticks love me. They're going to get me before they get anybody.
Oh yeah.
And as far as UFOs, it's interesting, but nothing that I've really felt a desire to delve down into because I have such a background in and interest in psychology and history. Ghost hunting and paranormal investigation really fits with who I am and what I'm interested in. And I'm interested in how it would even be possible for our consciousness to like interact with people after our body is dead. This is a crazy concept for me. And I think that's what keeps me with paranormal investigation as far as the spirit world, because I'm absolutely driven to have a better understanding of how that functions. And can we understand that? What does that look like? And what goes into that? So the other things are cool, but not my realm of expertise.
I pretty
I
much
like
stayed with ghost hunting myself, not the other stuff. And I always joke about that. Don't want to get eaten, and that's true. That's not really a joke. That's fact. But I pretty much try to keep it as this is my specialty. I specialize in the spirit realm, and there are people who are dealing with the little crypto people out there, and I'll let them deal with it. My first experience with the crypto thing, I don't want to see it again. And and UFOs, it's like fishing. I think you'd just be sitting there and just waiting and not getting a bite. I don't know if I could do it.
No,
Those are the
UFOs
same
are like
way.
fishing. They happen when you least expect it. I've had it happen to me many times over the years, and it's just like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll leave it to the people that can just really get into that. Me, I'm too much of a skeptic. I'll see a light in the sky and I'm like, okay, that's a plane. I can't. It would. Well, I mean, I didn't believe in ghosts until I see it.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't believe in the crypto thing until I seen it. I don't believe in a UFO until I see it. It would take a day of the Earth stood still kind of event. Come out, Patu Barata Nastiku, and they're like, oh, you're real.
Mhm.
Just
So,
gonna work on the lawn.
Hi,
get out.
Adrian.
hi.
I just think it's egotistical to think that we're the only living kind of beings in the universe. I mean, if you look at it in a Christian point of view, God's not on earth, so he's technically an alien.
I've been saying that. I've been saying that for years.
She just burst into flame over there.
Nah.
No, I mean I believe that. I've been saying that for years, Sean.
Mhm.
I mean it's obvious. I mean,
Well, look at some of the sky angels that they've taken out in space. They've taken pictures of these angel type looking creatures out in space. And it's very interesting. I've told you before, Adrian, you need to look those up because those are they're huge. They're absolutely huge and they're beautiful.
You could probably find some AI ones also. That way
Oh,
you can
yeah.
definitely see something cool.
Definitely. No, these pictures were taken way back in the 90s. Well, I don't know. AI's been around for a while. We just
didn't
my
know about it.
conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Finally seeing it
Yep.
in action.
Yep.
So
Because
Jen,
they can't hide it anymore.
true. Yeah, true. Too many people are seeing it. Jen, so what else would you like to tell us about your background or the book or anything? Is there any words of wisdom or
Ooh.
I'm
Words of
something new here.
wisdom.
Yeah. They never
Ooh.
heard me ask that question before. It's always been something.
Yeah.
It's always been, Kat, why did you ask that? That is the stupidest question.
No, man.
So
That's usually
one of the
what I get.
things that if you go to my website and some of the things that I do, it's investigativecuriosity.com. I use curiosity a lot. And I think that if I was going to give words of wisdom, it would be curious. We need to ask why. We need to ask how. We need to ask what if. That's how science works. That's how we work as people. And that's how we've gotten where we are today. And that's how we keep moving forward. So I encourage people to always be curious, always be asking questions. Because when we stop asking questions and we stop being curious, what's the point anymore?
Right.
That's a good point.
I agree with that.
I do
Words of
too,
wisdom.
100%.
That was good words of wisdom. Thank you.
Okay, we got just a couple minutes. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and any of that stuff, how would they do that?
So my website, like I said, is investigativecuriosity.com. My email is linked there. So you can always send me an email. I also have a Facebook page, Investigative Curiosity on Facebook. I'm not big on talking on videos and stuff. So I don't TikTok and I don't take a bunch of pictures. So I don't Instagram. So if you're looking for me, you'll find me on Facebook with all the old people. Sorry. I'm getting
I
old.
can't hear you.
What are you saying?
What?
All right, wait a minute. Let me put my hearing aid back in, so maybe I can hear what you just
Oh,
said.
you kids. Doggone it.
Well, and what you'll find when you go to my site and go to my Facebook page is a lot of what I do is I talk about what it's like to be a paranormal investigator, kind of ways of thinking, ways of questioning, and how to do it without being a jerk, because that's kind of a big thing. Don't go and be a jerk.
Don't be
And
a jerk. That's a good motto.
yeah. And I also like to ask questions of people who interact on the page to kind of get a feel for what the community is thinking and feeling, what their experiences have been. And while it's not a huge community, I have a really nice community of people who are interested in more than just the scare factor. It's not about going places and running around being scared. So I definitely encourage people to check that out.
Cool.
All right. Hey, okay, we got to wrap this up. I need to know, what is it? Next week is Shauna. So
we're going to talk about the McIntyre Villa and our experiences
That's not
there.
Oklahoma.
No, but I was there. So
That's cheating. That's cheating. All right, no problem.
I'll be bringing a little bit of Kansas to Oklahoma.
Okay, that works for me. That works for me. It's going to be a good time. I'm sure it'll be fun because I haven't even heard what you guys experienced and listen, Jen talk about the place. I'm kind of interested in what y'all caught. So I didn't. I think I worked. I don't know what I did. Life is such a blur. I know we're at the hour mark, and we will see you all next week. Next week.
Jen?
Next week.
Next
week.
week.
Tuesday night.
Thank you, Jen, for joining us.
It's really nice to meet you, Jen. Thanks for
Yes,
coming.
it is very nice.
Thank
Hang
you.
around. Hang around.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.